Have you ever met someone, had a full conversation, and then completely forgotten their name just minutes later? Or maybe you're that person who keeps saying bro, sis, or buddy just to avoid the awkward moment of asking again. If yes, you're not alone, and more importantly, it doesn't mean you're rude, careless, or unintelligent. In fact, the psychology behind forgetting names is far more interesting than you might think. Most people assume that forgetting names is simply a memory problem. But psychology tells us something different. It's not always about memory, it's about attention, emotional connection, and how your brain prioritizes information. When you meet someone new, your brain is actually overwhelmed. It's processing their face, their voice, their body language, the environment, and even your own thoughts about how you're coming across. In that moment, a name becomes just one small piece of information competing for attention. And often, it loses. Think about it. When someone introduces themselves, how often are you truly focused on their name? Or are you thinking about what to say next, how to respond, or whether you're making a good impression? This is called divided attention, and it's one of the biggest reasons people forget names almost instantly. Your brain simply didn't encode the name properly in the first place. There's also something called the lack of emotional association. Our brains are wired to remember things that have meaning, emotion, or relevance. A random name, especially one you've never heard before, doesn't carry much emotional weight. But if that same person told you a shocking story, shared something personal, or made you laugh, chances are you'd remember that moment. The name, however, might still slip away. Why? Because your brain didn't attach it to something meaningful. Another powerful factor is anxiety. Social anxiety, even at a mild level, can seriously affect memory. When you're nervous, your brain goes into a kind of survival mode. Instead of focusing on details like names, it focuses on managing the situation, how you look, what you say, and how the other person is perceiving you. This reduces your ability to store new information. So, ironically, the more you want to make a good impression, the more likely you are to forget something as basic as a name. But here's something even deeper. Some people consistently forget names more than others, and it can be linked to personality traits. For example, individuals who are more internally focused, meaning they spend a lot of time in their own thoughts, may struggle more with remembering external details like names. Their attention naturally turns inward, making it harder to fully engage with new information in the moment. On the other hand, people who are highly observant and socially attentive tend to remember names better, not because they have better memory, but because they are more present. They actively listen, repeat the name, and connect it to something like a facial feature or a context. This creates stronger neural pathways, making the name easier to recall later. There's also an interesting psychological bias at play. Our brains are better at remembering faces than names. This is because recognizing faces has been crucial for human survival throughout history. Names, however, are arbitrary labels. There's no natural connection between a name and a face, so your brain has to work harder to link the two together. Now here's the part most people don't realize. Forgetting names can sometimes be a subtle sign of how important your brain perceives that interaction to be. If your brain doesn't see immediate value or relevance, it may not prioritize storing that information. This doesn't mean you don't care, it just means your brain is filtering what it thinks is important in that moment. But the good news is, this is something you can improve. Even small changes in how you interact can make a big difference. Simply repeating someone's name right after hearing it, using it in conversation, or associating it with a visual image can significantly boost your ability to remember it. These techniques work because they force your brain to engage more deeply with the information. So the next time you forget someone's name, don't be too hard on yourself. It's not a flaw, it's a reflection of how your brain processes attention, emotion, and social interaction. And once you understand the psychology behind it, you can start to take control of it. Because remembering a name isn't just about memory, it's about presence. It's about being fully there in the moment. And in a world where most people are distracted, that alone can make you stand out. If you found this interesting, make sure to follow Psychology Threads for more insights into human behavior, where we break down the hidden patterns behind everyday actions so you can understand people and yourself a little better.